CHGO White Sox post-game show coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here from the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
Our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. We feel like we've covered that. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We're being produced today by Sarah.
Hello.
Hello. And we'll be joined later by Jared Wyllys from Guaranteed Rate Field as Vinny has the day off. Hey, Herb.
Hi, Sean. How you doing?
You know, we took 2 days off. Then we watched some White Sox today.
Yeah.
What happened?
I mean,
What happened?
are the Rays bad?
I think the Rays are bad, and I also think the White Sox are going to win the World Series in 2024 because they sweep the Twins. Or no, I'm getting ahead of myself because they're about to play the Twins. They sweep the Rays. There we go. They get a win on Friday. They get a huge walk-off homer from Andrew Benintendi on Saturday, and then Erick Fedde was brilliant in his first 8 innings. I don't know if he should have been out for the 9th, but hey, who cares? White Sox win 4-2, and they get their first sweep of the year. They get their first series win of the year. They double their win total in a whole series. And they get their first 3-game winning streak since June. Feels good.
Yeah, it feels really good. Like, they're doing things the right way, even though I didn't watch a lot of the games on Friday, because Friday I was at the Milwaukee Brewers Yankees game, but I was just watching on my phone. I was like, all right, it looks like they're pitching well. They're hitting in timely fashion, and now they're going to get that win. They did the pattern that I've had, the 4 to 5 to 6, and 7-game losing streaks, and then each of them followed by a win. But now the White Sox like, F it, we're going to start winning streaks and then mix in a loss every once in a while. But it's better to do this than what they've been doing, and it's a very enjoyable and like entertaining team to watch. This weekend, I only caught a couple innings on Friday, caught most of the game yesterday, and today caught most of it. I was like, all right, if they would have did this from the beginning, this would have been much more amenable for a viewer. Now, I think it might be a little too late because they're 22 losses still deep. 6-22 is a little rough, but it's better than the 3-22 they came into this weekend with.
Yeah, and it's obviously, in a way, it feels better than last year for some reason, last year's April. But, I mean, last year's April was still somehow better. They went 8-21 through April last year. I mean, I think they can top out at, right? Because there's 30 days in April?
Yeah.
No.
31.
31?
I think there's 31.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Wait, are there 31? Who do a producer?
There's
Sarah,
30. You're right.
There's 30. Okay, all right. So there's 30 days in April. So the Sox can tie last year's April record of 8-21. I guess they'll have 22 losses, but something to shoot for, right? That team was 61-101. So hey, maybe they'll win 60 games.
Consistent, but also going into the month of May with some momentum too. I don't think last year they went into momentum into the month of May. They just pretty much sucked that whole year. That bad April set the tone for what happened the rest of the year, and I think that's going to happen this year. That's why we got to enjoy the wins while we can, because they're going to be so few and far between this year. So yes, sweeping the Rays, some might say it's not a big deal. It's a big deal because there's not going to be a lot of these this year. Like they said on the broadcast, the last time they swept the Rays was in 2018. So it's been a minute since that happened. If we're talking about sweeps, I think last time they did it was last July. So it's been a long time. We U.S. White Sox fans have been, battered. This has been a bad team for a while now. So you got to enjoy the wins where you can. And if you don't enjoy the wins, I don't know what you're here for.
Yeah, and, well, I mean, hey, if you're not enjoying the wins, you're a hater, like John Schriffen doned you, all right? On today's show, we'll be talking about Andrew Benintendi, his big series. We'll be talking about Tommy Pham and how he's 3-0 with the Chicago White Sox. We'll talk about Erick Fedde's great game today. We will mention how the White Sox made some roster moves.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the train has been derailed. Unfortunately, Deivi Garcia has been DFA'd. I will cry and bemoan that. I almost wore a suit.
And like sunglasses, dark sunglasses.
Yeah. The widow veil as well.
Yeah, the man got his first win last night, and then they're like, yeah, it's been real.
Yeah.
Get your ass out of here.
Bye. And then we'll also talk a little bit, and I'll probably bring this up now, about Kevin Pillar going on to foul territory. So Kevin Pillar gets DFA'd by the White Sox to make room for Tommy Pham. And then immediately, before the move is even announced by the White Sox, at 12:47, Kevin Pillar appeared on Foul Territory, AJ Przinsky's podcast. At 2:47, they announced that Kevin Pillar was DFA'd. So he was already talking about this 2 hours before. And it's good that Connor went and brought this up earlier in the chat, because what Foul Territory tweeted out was, I kind of got sold on the dream that things would be better. Sometimes in this game there are no answers, but what Connor said was that Pillar said that the clubhouse was better than the horror stories he heard from 2023. A series like this lends legitimacy to the clubhouse being solid. Herb, I know that this probably isn't the right angle after they had 3 wins before we last chatted, and now they've doubled their series or their season total.
Yep.
But with Eloy back, with Tommy Pham, the undefeated legend, with the rotation seemingly getting a little bit more solid, if you want to think of that, with Keller and Clevenger, can this team be better than what we saw in April? Can this team even just be a 500 team for most months? Like, is this going to be a team that struggles to just get wins, or can this be a team that plays some close games and maybe comes together and is a little bit more consistent?
It's hard to be worse than the 3-22 they put up before this weekend started. So, yes, they can be better than that. Now, I don't want people to lose their minds and think about this as a catalyst to start something that gets the White Sox back in the AL Central. I think they're still 12 games, if not 13 games, behind the league or the AL Central leading Cleveland Guardians. So that is, I think, already cashed. The season is over as far as that's going. But, yes, Tommy Pham has shown up, and the White Sox seem like they're hitting. It could be the effect of the Rays not being good right now. I didn't see anything of that Rays outfit that was like, okay, yeah, that is what you should be doing. That's the top of the AL East. They're not really good this year, which is very surprising to me, because usually every year the Rays are already good no matter who they trade away. But you got Eloy back, and he looks like he's hitting a little bit. He hit a couple home runs this week. You got Tommy Pham on the team. Gavin Sheets is continuing to hit. Now Andrew Benintendi his last couple days has been hitting hard. And remember, probably at the end of May, you're going to get Luis Robert Jr. back. So, yes, you have some reinforcements coming back, but I don't want people to get lost in sauce and think that, okay, all that stuff's here, we can now compete. No, it was too late. You put yourself too much in a hole in the month of April to compete for that AL Central. But will these games be much more convenient for us who are watching the games? Yes, much more convenient, because there'll be more action and excitement. As Erick Fedde pitches like he pitched today, I'm all in for it. 10
games back of the wild card, Herb. Whew. All right, 13 games back of the Guardians, who lead the AL Central. I think the biggest thing is I thought this team would have been all right. I mean, obviously there was 3 huge blows with Eloy, Yoan, and Luis Robert. And I said this before the season, I would have been surprised if they won less than 55 games, just because I think there's been 13 teams since they started a 162 season that have won less than 55 games. This start obviously was horrendously ugly, but also like 8 shutouts in 22 games.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like that was definitely an outlier, because Nicky Lopez, Danny Mendick, and Gavin Sheets was your 1, 2, 3. If Benintendi is going to be hitting a little bit more and be getting on base at that 5th spot or 6th spot, wherever they want to slot him in, that's obviously going to make this lineup a little bit better. Seems like Tommy Pham's giving them a lot better at-bats than what they were typically getting. I could be good with Robbie Grossman being cut off the team, right? Like, I mean, like, there are ways that this lineup's shaping out a little bit more to get a little bit more consistency, which I'll take. Again, I'm not looking for an AL Central winner, because they're 13 games back of that division. Even if they swept the Minnesota Twins, they'd still have 4 less wins than the Minnesota Twins. The Twins are currently at 13-13. The Sox are at 6-22. So even if they go out and sweep Minnesota and are 9-22 and have a 6-game win streak, they're still 4 games back of the Twins in the win column.
Yeah.
Like, it's a real ugly hole. But if they get to 60 wins on the year, hey, I'll take it. I'll be happy with that. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. Make sure you are hitting that subscribe button as well. And we got a poll question. If you don't like the two options that are given to you, we can only include two options. Can we only include? Well, can we include a third option?
I thought when you slacked me just now, I missed that third part, and then I already posted it, so I was like, I'll just leave it.
Okay, all right. Well, if you have a third option and it's too early to tell, leave that in the comments. I know some people have left that in the comments. We'll get to John Schriffen and his early returns soon. All right, let's take a break, and we'll let you know about our friends who produce pork. If you have an Illinois pork producer in your life, go tell him thanks. Go pat him on the back. We always have our guy Charlie, the bacon guy, chatting in our comments and always keeping up that what's it called? Community alive. Illinois pork producers are going to be producing that lovely bacon that Charlie ends up transforming into more lovely pork products. People who are active need more protein than an average American, and in fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the Dietitians of Canada, and the American of College Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes, depending on training. For a 150-pound person, that's 81 to 136 grams of protein per day. A 1 3-ounce serving of pork provides 23 grams of high-quality protein that can help active individuals build and preserve muscle. I don't know if I'm trying to build and preserve muscle, Herb, but hey, I like waking up with 2 pieces of toast, 2 pieces of bacon, maybe an egg right there, and I feel like that's a solid breakfast that gets me off and starting my day the right way. So why not have some more pork in your life and get that protein that you need? Elevate your protein game with lean pork, a powerhouse of natural goodness. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by putting the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers, from your sausage and bacon for breakfast to pulled pork or juicy chops hot off the grill. It's an entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product, paid for by the Illinois pork producers. Generations of commitment.
PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling against thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePick entries, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Take your pick on more or less than and add them to your PrizePick entry today. And you can also get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks, as the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. My personal experience with PrizePicks, I've been talking about Io versus Trey Young.
You could still include Trey Turner in your PrizePicks.
I literally have Trey Turner written on the thing. Maybe the day I wrote this, I was thinking about Trey Turner on the Phillies and killing the damn Padres this weekend, jerks. But Io DeSumo is Trey Young's daddy, and every time they play him, I go more than in points, rebounds, and assists on Io DeSumo, and then less than on Trey Young's points, rebounds, and assists. And so for next year, remember that. That's my play. That's my personal experience with PrizePicks. So you can go to prizepicks.com/CHGO and use the code CHGO for your first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/CHGO and use the code CHGO. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Thank you, Herb. All right, let's get into our guy, Benintendi. We gave him a ton of crap over the past couple of games as the season started. Absolutely. His play in left field has been pretty brutal, especially in that Minnesota series, but he came alive in this Rays series. I think he had 9+ hits, hit 2 home runs, his first 2 of the season, made up 20% of our bet right there. Herb thinks that he'll hit 10 or more homers this season. I have the under on that. 20% of his homers coming in one day. And we also get John Schriffen's first walk-off homer. Let's talk more about Benny first. His 6th multi-homer game, his 6th game with 2 homers or more. What does this mean? Does this mean this is a guy that's finally coming out and is going to hit above the Mendoza line? Like, is this a guy that at least he'll bounce back to where he was in 2023? Like, because where he was, I mean, it's like an OPS plus of like 40.
Yeah.
Like, let's try to make up that and double it and get to like the 80s at least where you were last year, huh?
I mean, we saw last week, we're watching Sunday's game versus the Phillies, where he was just a butcher in the field with the bat, everything. He was just really bad that day. And the next day, and I know Pedro said it was just a day off, that's a benching to me. He just said, hey, you're not doing well today. You need your mind right and get your mind right so you can be ready for the rest of this Minnesota series, which I don't think he did as well. But we came to the table this weekend, and yesterday had a great game. The 2 home runs. The first home run, a little wall scraper-ish, but for him, I'm taking everything.
Dead center, though.
Yeah, I'm taking everything. That's plus 400 feet home run. I'm good for that. And then he got a hanger, and usually Andrew Benintendi, when he gets a hanger, he's fouling or flailing that ball off late, hitting a weak fly ball to left field. And so to him to power that ball and to pull that ball and take that mistake into the right field bleachers makes me feel like the guy has figured some things out. Now, Maton, not the greatest pitcher, but still, that's a major league pitcher in the 10th inning with a lead. And Andrew Benintendi was ready for it and crushed that, absolutely murdered that pitch. So, like you said, he's still fighting with Mario Mendoza in the line. He's below it right now. So even though he's hot as crap right now in Andrew Benintendi terms, he's still under 200 for the year. His OPS is really low.
It's 204 now.
Oh,
he went 2 for 4.
Oh, he got that extra hit.
Yeah.
Oh, he's over the Mendoza line. Let's go, Andrew Benintendi. I'm sorry, I'm for slighting you on your great hitting weekend.
All I need was 6 hits in 17 at bats.
Get hotter than shit to get this point. But the White Sox need his bat. Like, you paid him $75 million, and we've been talking about how we're going to suss out the outfield situation with Pham here, with Grossman here, with Eloy here, with Sheets here, and then you're going to get Robert here eventually. We knew that the $75 million man was not getting benched, even though his play this year has deserved him getting benched for an extended period of time. He probably saw the writing on the wall when Pedro put him on the sidelines. Now, if he can just transfer some of this, I don't need him to be a 20 home run guy. I just need him to do the things he did this weekend. Take what the pitcher's giving you and pull some balls. Stop waiting back so far on, especially 3-1 counts, 2-0 counts, when you're late on those pitches and you're flailing them to the left field and you're hitting them to the opposite field. No. I know you pride yourself on being a full hitter, an all-field hitter. No, start being a more greedy, selfish hitter. Center field, right field. That seems like what you did. When you're doing that, you're doing well with your team. This is not Boston. You're not hitting that ball off the wall and getting a double. You hit the ball in left field, you're getting out in guaranteed right field. So, good weekend. Continue that weekend into the Minnesota series. And then continue that into the next series, so it keeps on rolling on, and so the $75 million doesn't seem as daunting as it did earlier this month.
Well, and I think too, him just showing more aggression is going to be welcomed, whether it be aggression in the field and those blue singles that he doesn't want to get by him or anything like that. Like, go attack a ball, go take a route, run your ass off, and make a play in the outfield. And same thing with him at the plate too. I want to see him attack pitches in the zone. I want to see him go out and try to be aggressive in the zone, because right now he's not walking. So if you're going to be swinging a ton, swing. And if you're going to be swinging, hit the pitches you need to. So the fact that he got I forget the pitch that Eflin gave him up to, but I think it was down in the zone. But the same thing with the walk-off homer. Like a fat cutter, middle, and he did not let it by him. Like, that's what I just want to see. And even if it leads into, hard outs, oh well, great. Hey, whatever. I can't see him whiffing and being late on fastballs. And I at times through the first 28 games, I would rather see Robbie Grossman's approach where, hey, I could foul everything off and I can get single after single and I can get walk after walk. I might not be able to hit for any power, but hey, I'm at least getting on base. And we saw Robbie Grossman's on base percentage above, I think like 350 or something. I mean, Benintendi's still under 300 when it comes to an on base percentage. So as long as he's getting on base and not making these glaring errors in the field, I'm fine with him. It's just, I have no choice but to be fine with him. Let's talk a little bit about the outfield. It's changed a little bit, mainly with Friday's call-up. Tommy Pham gets called up. Kevin Pillar gets DFA'd. But then our guy, Dom Fletcher, gets sent back down to AAA, and Rafael Ortega's contract gets selected from Charlotte. So you got Benny in left, Ortega and Pham patrolling center field, and then Grossman in right field with Pham, as we saw later today, shifting over to right field. Do you like this current outfield until Robert gets back?
Not really.
Which maybe May per Getz?
Not really, because Chris Getz said he's looking for more defensively inclined field. And Benintendi's bad at left field. That's going to stay that way. Pham has played center field sparingly in his career and to varying degrees, but he's not great. And then if you're going to have either Pham or Gavin Sheets or Grossman in right field, we've seen Grossman play right field. It's not been great, friends. And so it's very air-prone, very balls read incorrectly off the bat prone. We've seen Andrew Benintendi when he was in Minnesota. Balls are in the air for 17 years. He's not getting under them multiple times in that series. And so I think that, yes, they need to play the same roster because they don't have the horses right now and they don't have their healthy center fielder, which would make everything else kind of chill out because Luis Robert can go gap to gap and get those balls that Pham and Benintendi couldn't. But for now, I guess you got to be satisfied. But, yes, I would, of course, like to have Dominic Fletcher here to see what he can do because at the end of the day, when we're talking in April of next year, Tommy Pham's not going to be on this team. Mm-hmm. Neither is Ortega, and more than likely, Grossman's not going to be on this team. I need to see if Dominic Fletcher is a thing or not. He's 26. He's not a spring chicken. So this is a bad year. Might as well get all the at-bats for him and say at the end of the year, yay or nay on him. His doing well or doing poorly in AAA is not going to help anybody. Same thing with Lenning Sosa. So when I see some veteran up here getting the at-bats that Lenning Sosa should be having, I'm like, ugh, he's 24. We should be having him bat and be as bad as he can be. Then you have some certainty next year, and you're not counting on Lenning Sosa to come in next year and be a contributor to the major league team because he's dominated the AAA league this year. There's nothing he can do. He's a 4A player for now. Give him 100+ games to see exactly what Lenning Sosa is. And if you see that's something bad, then you say, all right, it's been real. But you're not going to know that until August when they trade all the rest of the people away, and then you bring Lenning up and you say, here's 60 games. What is that going to do for him?
Yeah, and I think there was 3 big trades this offseason for Getz. One of them wasn't that big. I know it's obviously 5 players coming to the Sox and then 1 player going to the Braves in Aaron Bummer, but you just look at that and the Braves ate all that money, and that's really why they got rid of Aaron Bummer. It wasn't because, we're getting Mike Soroka. Like, we're getting projects and you're taking money. Cool, that's it. It seems like it will likely be a wash. I don't think Braden Shue makes future shortstop for the White Sox. Nicky Lopez might be the future second baseman for the White Sox. I don't mind him maybe not leading off, but if he's our 9th hole hitter and he's playing that defense, I'm not against it. But Soroka, it doesn't seem like he's really much of anything.
He pitched all right the last time he went out.
Yeah, Schuster seems okay, but I don't really know what we know from him.
They don't want to play him.
No, they didn't want to play. They didn't want to include him on the roster, even though he looked all right at the major league level. But then you get to the Seattle one, the trading of Gregory Santos. I thought that was a really good trade by Chris Getz, and we even see some of those players now coming up. Prelander Baroa just got called up by the Sox. But that Mena for Fletcher flip is very odd because, like you mentioned, Fletcher's 26 years old, isn't a power guy, is 5'6", doesn't really lend as a high ceiling guy. Maybe he has a really high floor, but again, this has now been 2 teams that have called him up to the major leagues, and even when he was hitting well in Arizona, and I know they got a lot of outfield depth, they're like, we're all right, we'll send him back down. Now Mena, who isn't perfect, 3.75 ERA, but he's 21 in AAA. And this is a guy that was 10th in the White Sox prospect ranking, where Jonathan Cannon was 11th, and Jonathan Cannon's now being up to the major leagues. I just wonder about some of those trades because, especially the Fletcher one, because it seemed like it was the White Sox going to get their guy.
Yeah.
And by April, they're already kind of off their guy, and it's another more, what's it called? Musical chairs in right field.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They'll tell us, and I guarantee Pedro and Chris Getz are going to say, it's early, and keep on saying that stuff. But then they don't give this person in Dominic Fletcher a legitimate chance to be as bad as he needs to be. They barely gave him at-bats this year. They started him a couple games, and when Luis Robert went out, he had the starting in center field. And I know he's been mostly bad, but what is this year for? They're 6-22. What is Tommy Pham going to bring back to the White Sox? A low-level prospect at the trade deadline? Great. Any of these teams could have signed him. I'm glad that he's brought energy to the White Sox, and they happen to be winning when he has played. but this is nothing for us. That does nothing for the White Sox as a future for a future team. I see people like we've played these guys already. We played them for a cup of tea. They didn't play them even a long enough time to say, hey, Leaning Sosa is not good at all. People like, we've seen him multiple years. Yeah, like 11 games, like 50 games, and this year I think it was like 10 games. That's not a lot of time to see a major league player to determine if he is good or not. There's people who are late bloomers, and the worst thing I would like to see is the White Sox give up on Leaning Sosa, who's 24. They signed him when he was 16 years old, and then him go to some other team. I think they did that with Eduardo Escobar, and you saw him go to Minnesota and became an all-star, went to the D-backs and became an all-star, and then he's had a nice career for himself. That's the thing I don't want to see later on, that, oh, we gave up on a young player just because we gave him a cup of coffee in the major leagues for 3 straight years, really didn't give him the full go and say, Leaning, you don't have to worry about anybody looking over your shoulder. We got nobody in the minors. That's your spot. You're the second baseman, or you're the shortstop, or you're the third baseman for this year. He hasn't got a real shot. So I would like for them to be real with themselves. Who cares about Tommy Pham? Who cares about Mike Clevenger? Who cares about Robbie Grossman and these guys? This year is about learning who you got on your team. And if they're nothing, learn that this year. The worst thing about this whole thing, we'll be doing the same thing with Fletcher next year when he's 27 and 25-year-old Leaning Sosa, which is the worst shit ever.
Well, and there's 16 games under 500. Like, I don't Christian's mentioning how long do we want to be like the Pirates. At some point, we have to get consistent at-bats from solid players. It's just you got to find those solid players, and I'd rather churn and burn 20-year-olds than 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
And especially Tommy Pham, who's 36. If Pham ends up bringing something to the White Sox via trade, like what, the Mets shipped him off to the Diamondbacks, right? Was that the
last
for
year.
cash considerations and a 17-year-old? Like, hey, maybe they get a lotto ticket and maybe it turns into our James Shields for Fernando Tatis Jr. Maybe, but again, it's a lotto ticket, and like lotto tickets, Chris Pennant saying 3 wins in a row. What scratch off lottery ticket are you going for? You got a favorite scratch off?
I don't play scratch off. If I'm gonna play lotto, I'm gonna try to win it. So I'm gonna try to win the big one. Okay. I'm not gonna waste my luck on $100. I'm gonna waste my luck on $100 million.
What scratch offs are you playing? Oh, you're saying to win $100.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Like
You're buying $100 scratch offs.
No.
You're going to the back section of 7-Eleven. You're saying, hey, where's the good stuff? Where's the high roller stuff? Speaking of high roller stuff, I found this quote from Tommy Pham, and I just want to share this with you guys because maybe this is the intensity the White Sox needed. This is from Tommy Pham. I'm a very good fighter. I'm a big dog in Vegas. Muay Thai, big money. Kung Fu. I'm a high roller at many casinos. I get down really well. You can look at my credit line. Muay Thai. F. The curse words. Tommy Pham. I don't know what the context was of that, but just I'm a big dog. It's just great. So big dog Tommy Pham going out there and setting the locker room straight. Hey, they're not losing with Tommy Pham.
They're not.
There's no reason to get rid of him. At this point, I'm saying keep him past the trade deadline. Maybe he's our right fielder for the next 4 years.
Right. I'm sure Jerry would be happy, but Tommy would be like, hey, you got to pay me a lot more because the reason why he came here is because the White Sox paid him more and the California taxes are too high for Tommy. When he gets traded to the Padres later in the year, he'll understand that, this is the team you should have been on all the way through.
Well, and he's a big dog, so he needs that money to make up that credit line.
And only 5 hours to drive to LA or Vegas, too.
And now he's got the Downtown Bally's Casino. We could go see him at the Medina Temple right now.
I don't know if they have a private room from that man.
Let's take a break. We'll let people know about our friends over at Game Time. Again, I get the point of, hey, let's go get some solid play, and I'm fine with that. I'd rather watch the White Sox win 3 straight games than the first iteration of the 22 games where they're getting shut out in 8 of their 22. So I'll take the Tommy Pham White Sox over the Dominic Fletcher White Sox?
I guess so.
You guess.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to worry.
Now they're going to lose 10 straight, and then we're going to be all screwed over.
When you're buying tickets to your next big event, Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I went to Atlanta a couple years ago, bought some tickets on Game Time, went to check all the rest of the secondary markets, and only one of them had a better price in the section and row that I was sitting. So I sent this information to Game Time, and within 12 minutes, I got 110% of the difference into my account. And I just went this weekend to the great land, the good land as the kids call it, Milwaukee, and bought some zone deals for Yankees versus Brewers definitely do that. That ballpark is awesome. It was raining all day, Sean, all night. They still played a game. Oh, wow. I don't know how they did it. Oh, yeah, they put a roof on it. Game Time is the only – hats to my guy, Ramin Makhlouf. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the views from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And all-in prices show you the total up front, so you know that you're getting a great deal without all the hidden fees. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Times has deals right up to the start of the event and even an hour after that event starts. It's the place to go for last-minute seats. And with zone deals that I just talked about, you pick the section, Game Time beats the seats for an average of 18% savings. And at Game Time, the guarantee means that you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app now, create an account, use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
And you see that in the chat there? Melissa saying she bought her tickets from Game Time today. 3 tickets and parking for $54. That is a great deal.
And it's perfect, too. If you're a person that doesn't want to give Jerry all your money, you're giving money to a person that already gave Jerry the money. Jerry's already got that money in pocket. So you directly are not giving that money to Jerry. You're giving it to Game Time, which helps us, too.
And you're helping entrepreneurs alike remake their money. I also want to let you know about our friends over at Chevy. Drive home a winner this April after visiting our partner, Ray Chevrolet. They're sharing their best offers of the year, so make your way over to Ray Chevrolet on Route 12 in Fox Lake to join in on the savings. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Plus, you can find the perfect tailgating vehicle for a limited time only. They're offering 0% financing for 72 months on new Silverados with over 100 available. And to top it all off, they're pricing over 125 vehicles under $20,000. Seriously, guys, can pricing get more affordable?
No.
Well, kind of. You can get a free oil change at Ray Chevrolet. There you go. I think that is more affordable than paying anything.
Yeah.
It's more affordable than $1. Get a free oil change at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake when you mention CHGO. A free oil change. All you need to do is mention CHGO when scheduling your oil change. Start off the new year right and schedule it by April 31st. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Find new roads. All right, let's talk a little bit about Erick Fedde. He was fantastic today. Erick Fedde was working very fast. I thought it was very noticeable in the second inning when Shelton was up. It was Mark Burley-esque. I mean, Derek Shelton, for the first 2 pitches, he was overwhelmed. I think there was 12 seconds on the clock. No one was running. So Erick Fedde taking 4 seconds and just immediately going. Shelton needed to work and take his time out. Like, it was that fast and that overwhelming from Fedde. I thought that was great for Fedde, especially because his location's been fantastic. He had 65 pitches through the 5th inning, 88 pitches through the 7th inning. That's with 8 Ks. And then they threw him out there for the 9th inning to see if he can get his first complete game. He went 8 1/3. Did give up, 7 hits today, but no walks. And he's had no walks over the last 2 games, started with 20 strikeouts. What have you taken away from our guy, Erick Fedde?
He's confident. He's not really blowing people by. He's just using the pitches off of each other. So tunneling a fastball in the corner with a sweeper just to go right behind it. He's doing the things that pitchers need to do. Like, you look at the radar gun, you're like, how is he getting people out? How is he doing this with mediocre stats and mediocre stuff? But he's just doing it because he knows how to pitch the game that he needs to. Mix in a splitter, mix in a slider. And the last game we were talking about how he pretty much shelved his sweeper because the Minnesota Twins feature a bunch of left-handers, and it's not conducive for his pitch to do well. Today, he upped the ante on sweepers, and I'm sure you got the numbers, but there's many more sweepers. I think last game he only threw 4 sweepers the whole game versus the Minnesota Twins, which feature, like I said, a bunch of lefties. Today, I think he went almost like 60 or 50% on sweepers, so he knows that he pitches to the team and has a game plan for the team that he's playing for or playing against, instead of just pitching his game and saying that team has to adjust to me. No, he's looking at the team and saying, I'm adjusting to them, and what they do well, I'm going to do the opposite of that and battle them there. And that's the smartest move you can do as a pitcher. Actually have a scouting report for the team and attack them as that.
Oh, so close. How high did you say his sweeper percentage was?
I thought today? I thought it was like close to 50%.
Unfortunately, I know you're a big fan of The Price is Right.
I went over?
You went over.
Fudge.
48%. So 2 cents off there. He threw 52 sweepers today. 48% of his pitches thrown were sweepers, and you're absolutely right that against Minnesota, it was the flip. 5 sweepers thrown, 5% of his pitches were sweepers today. So a complete upheaval of his pitch mix, throwing 43% more sweepers today. He saw 23 splitters thrown against the Twins in that last start on the 23rd. He threw only 7 today, still featuring that sinker and cutter, decent amount. 37 against the Twins, 37% of his pitches against the Twins were the cutter. Today it was 22%, and then the sinker was used 34% times against the Twins. It was 23 today. So he was extremely effective. He was quick, and you're right that it's been, and Victor Von Doom's correct as well, it's been movement and location for Erick Fedde. He's got a 104 location plus, so 4% better than the major league average, and that is 27th in location plus, and it's probably going to be better today. So he's just putting it in situations where guys aren't able to do much damage. There was one solo homer against Isaac Paredes, but outside of that, it was a really clean game, and I think the biggest thing is just don't walk anyone, and that's what Erick Fedde has been doing. You mentioned confidence, so let's go talk to our pal, Jared Wyllys, who I'm assuming chatted with Erick Fedde post-game. You can follow Jared at JWyllys on Twitter, Y's instead of I's, and he is our floater. He's covering the Sox. He's covering the Cubs. He's extremely talented. What's up, Jared?
Hey guys, it's you're making me a little jealous with the Lineys right there.
Oh, Herb got the originals too. He was up in Wisconsin, so he got the real stuff. Nice. We got some in the fridge too. So on your way back, just come in and just grab some beer. Don't drink them while you drive. Anyways, let's talk about the confident Erick Fedde. What did he have to say after going 8 1/3? And was there any talk about the complete game and almost getting his first in his major league career?
Yeah, he did talk about going out there for the 9th inning. He said he told Grifol that he wanted the 9th, even though that pitch count was up there pretty high. And he said, I'm feeling good. I want to go out there and get these last 3 outs. And then Pedro said the same thing. He said, I wanted that for him. I wanted him to get the complete game. But then he also did mention that he was a little motivated by the fact that his bullpen's been doing a lot of work lately, and it would have been nice to give the bullpen just a full day off. Grifol said he wanted to stay away from Leasure if he could help it, but it worked out that he needed to bring him in to get those last 2 outs. But for Fedde, he said this is, as far as he can remember, and I haven't had a chance to look it up, but he said that he thinks this is the first time he's been out there in the 9th inning. So definitely one of the best starts of his career.
What went into that decision? Like, did Pedro talk about how he was like, okay, he was pitching well in the 8th, and we got some people back there, because I saw in the broadcast they had Brad Keller up for the 8th inning just in case Fedde run into some problems. And I think Jordan Leasure finished the game off and got his first major league save, so that's kind of good for him. But what went into the decision, like, hey, I'm going to give you this much rope, and if you get hung yourself, you're going to come out of the game? Like, did Pedro explain like why he decided to give Fedde that rope and give him that chance to do the 9th inning? I know you just explained a little bit, but did Pedro say, hey, I want him to have this for his own self because this is pretty much a lost season?
Yeah, I mean, those are the 2 things that Pedro emphasized. Number one, that he wanted Fedde to get a complete game just for his own sake. But then also number 2, he was looking at an opportunity to really keep his bullpen from having to do anything today, other than maybe a couple of guys getting up to warm up a little. He didn't go into much detail beyond that, but he did talk in pregame today about the bullpen is clearly on his mind, because that was one of the things he talked about with Brad Keller, and the value that he thinks Keller is going to provide in the short term, at least, is that if they need to go to the bullpen early in a game, he likes having somebody like Keller there who can pick up a few innings. It does sound, however, like that won't be the case for very long, because he said that Keller will be available out of the bullpen tomorrow, but then they'll reevaluate from there. So we could be looking at Keller sliding into the rotation maybe, for next weekend series.
I mean, they kind of have to, right? Because they sent Jonathan Cannon back down to the minor leagues to bring up Keller and Perlander Baroa. So he didn't say that maybe he's part of the rotation until they get up to speed with Mike Clevenger?
He didn't mention anything about that. So all the talk today, at least, was that he may use Keller out of the bullpen. Pre-game, he said he would be available today if they needed it. But then he said post-game that he would still be available out of the bullpen for tomorrow's game. But then he didn't say it, but like you said, there's that spot in the rotation that's going to need to be filled, and he's the guy that makes the most sense for it. So if they do use him tomorrow, it could be just for the sake of getting him out there and getting some pitches, because he was supposed to start for Charlotte today. So that way he's not having too much time in between outings. But yeah, no mention of Clevenger today.
Yeah, that's interesting, just because tomorrow you have Crochet on the bump, or projected to be on the bump, then Soroka and Flexen to round out that Minnesota series. I don't know, as we've seen Flexen bounce from the bullpen to starter, is this his last chance with the White Sox, and maybe Keller takes his spot? There isn't currently a starter for Friday, May 3rd. Is that a spot for Clevenger with the day off where you're able to make a roster move? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds. What's the feeling like in that clubhouse? I know that, the wins haven't been, they've got 6 wins. I don't know what I'm talking about. They've had 6 wins so far this year, and what we've heard when they win is like it's the last day of school. So was it like the last day of school, or now is it calm, cool, and collected because this is 3 straight?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a little more subdued maybe today, just because, you've got your first sweep in a long time. They've won 3 straight there, but there's also the reality of now this means you have 6 wins total. One of the guys, Tommy Pham, was asked about it in the locker room afterward, and his response was pretty blunt. He just said, "It's 3 games. It's a long season." So, for him at least, he's got a much bigger picture view, perhaps. But yeah, there's, the guys are happy, of course, and they were, and I think the mood in the locker room even before the game was pretty light. There were some guys playing ping pong, things like that. So, this isn't a locker room that's carrying itself like they are in the doldrums or anything like that. For better or for worse, I don't know what the best way for a group of guys to act in their situation is, but for what it's worth, it doesn't feel like a heavy locker room given where they're at in the standings.
And also, I don't know if people know this is the first series this year the White Sox have not got shut out, scoring 9 runs, 8 runs, and then 4 runs today. Did Pedro go into what has changed? I know Tommy Pham has been added to the lineup, but I know the results are good, but was there a process change in between their loss on Thursday to the Minnesota Twins to the wins on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday?
He talked about Tommy Pham. That's somebody whose name came up from a couple of people, not just Pedro Grifol. And specifically, he talked about just the difference that Tommy Pham makes as far as like how he carries himself, goes about his work. When you bring in a veteran with the kind of experience that Tommy Pham has, that's something that younger players are going to take notice of. So that's, the only specific thing that he talked about at all was just the impact of Tommy Pham's presence. Now, does that suddenly spark the whole offense to start stringing together hits? Not necessarily, but I think what we saw today in those 2 innings where you get the 4 consecutive singles, those are quality at-bats coming from guys who it feels like we've been waiting on to do that. Guys like Gavin Sheets, Benintendi, who, today looks really sharp at the plate.
Absolutely.
And I think, too, you got to give credit for Tommy Pham doing this to the team, but also blame to Chris Getz and staff for not doing this earlier in the offseason when Tommy Pham was available, and you could have had this tone set in spring training with Tommy Pham being a badass and carrying himself in a certain way, and these players are understanding, hey, I won't get too a foul with that guy because he slaps people.
Well, I don't know if it's because they didn't offer him enough money, and maybe if they increased the money, he would have been brought into spring training. But it seems like with Clevenger and Pham, it's also about the opportunity. Would I rather go play for San Diego, a team that's going to be competing in the NL West, or a team that's in the doldrums like the Chicago White Sox? But I do want to ask Jared, I don't know if you've been able to take away anything from just brief moments around Tommy Pham, but we've heard a lot about veteran presence this offseason and this season so far, but it seems like Pham brings something different. Is that the intensity? Is there any intensity that you notice from Tommy Pham? Is it just a more serious, stern look from Tommy Pham? Because we could see his headshot. It's very, very stern, ready to play ball. What different things does Pham bring to that clubhouse that maybe the White Sox were lacking?
I mean, I will say that, again, multiple people said the same. They used the same phrase to describe him, and this is without having heard what anyone else had said. They all described him as he's always on. Okay. Pedro Grifol said that. Jordan Leasure said that. A couple of other guys said the same thing. And again, it's not like they were there together hearing how somebody else was describing him. That's the phrase that they all used independently. So that definitely, you take notice of that kind of thing when all these guys talk about somebody the same way. But yeah, in our post-game interaction, this is a guy who, he's pretty straightforward and blunt and serious just from what our exchange was. And he talked about early in his career when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals and what he learned from watching players like Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina, and how that changed the way that he carries himself now. So he's clearly had a pretty significant impact on that clubhouse just in a matter of a few days. Pedro Grifol talked about how he's noticed already the attention to detail that Tommy Pham has as far as his fundamentals. And he said when he's not getting something right, he's pissed. So that's something that, maybe this is a group that is going to benefit from following his lead in that way. Tommy Pham said that he had some offers during spring training or earlier, back in the off season that he turned down because he didn't think that it was the amount of money that he was looking for. But then eventually, like you guys mentioned, this is now an opportunity signing with the White Sox where he can show people what he can do.
We talked about it earlier in the show, but last 2 days, Andrew Benintendi with his walk-off home run yesterday and the other home run he hit yesterday, and then today with the deciding game-winning 2 RBI single that he had late in the game, I think in the 8th inning. What's gotten into him? Has Pedro's noticed something different about Andrew Benintendi? We've noticed that he's been pulling the ball a little bit more than he usually does, where he kind of has those weak flyouts to left usually. The last couple of days, been pulling the ball to center and also to right field. What did Pedro have to say about Andy?
Well, he did. I mean, first, we saw even today when there was a deep foul ball that he pulled really, really hard to right field. One that had it been 10 feet to the left, it's another home run. So there is something there with him pulling the ball. But Pedro didn't complimented his hitting, but didn't necessarily offer a lot of specifics about what he's seeing that's gone on with him. Erick Fedde, when he was asked about the offense today, he called it just, hey, the law of averages, guys who are supposed to hit, starting to hit together at the same time. For what it's worth, it strikes me as a clubhouse that's not trying to make too much of a handful of games. But yeah, if you're looking at something that's a potential turning point for some players and maybe even a team, this weekend is a good step in that direction.
Yeah, we haven't talked to you in a bit, so I just kind of want to get your thoughts on the Sox. I mean, they just doubled their win total in one series. I mean, is this something a series that you can take stuff away from, or do you still look at them and say, they're 6-22, it's only been 28 games. Let's see how the next 28 games play out to see how this, this team is and this team shapes out, or is this a team that you think the first 28 games is a pretty good representation of who they are?
I think that, the first 28 games are a good representation of what the floor is for this team. That being said, I don't know how high the ceiling is. But I'm a big proponent of give me until about Memorial Weekend before I'm really starting to make up my mind about where a team's at. Because I do think if, when Mike Clevenger joins the rotation, he's going to help settle some things that have been an issue for them so far, where they've not gotten the production from the starting rotation that they've needed. So if you get Fedde pitching like he has been, Clevenger joins that group, and he's able to even pitch somewhat like he did last year, that makes a difference. That helps settle your bullpen as well when they're not being called upon to pick up as many innings as they have been. And then, of course, offensively, if you can get some sparks from different guys, it is going to make a difference. Do I see this team climbing their way out of this hole that they've dug for themselves? Of course not. But I do think, for what it's worth, 6-22 is absolutely the floor for this team, and maybe even slightly below it, because I don't think anybody would have guessed this 28 games in.
You'd hope this is the floor. I don't think it could get much worse than how it was.
we're probably we're like down in the foundation. Let's be honest. This is lower than the floor.
Yeah, the foundation of that Twins lineup is just brutal. Where it was Mendick, Lopez at the top, and then Benintendi's like getting benched, and Grossman's on there. I don't think the lineups can get much worse. All right, we really appreciate Jared Wyllys joining us from Guaranteed Rate Field. You can follow him at JWyllys, Y's instead of I's. If you do want any liney, come pick him up at the office. We'd be glad to let you in and hang out. Anything else from the park, Jared? They're in the fridge. We'll keep the fridge closed. There you go. Anything else you want to add for the ballpark? I know you got a stogie that you got to smoke on your way home too.
Yeah.
So
keep an eye out for the post-game stogie. I'll be lighting it up in a little while.
All right. Well, we appreciate your work from Guaranteed Rate Field. You can follow Jared at JWyllys on Twitter, and he'll be posting at allchgo.com later with a recap from Guaranteed Rate Field. Appreciate it, Jared.
See you guys.
See ya. All right. We got 53 likes right now and over 100 people watching. So do it for Hector Santiago. Do it for Melky Cabrera. You got a favorite 53?
You just named him.
That's it?
Hector Santiago.
Oh, no Jonathan Stever love?
No, I saw him in New York, battled the Dark Knight, 1-0. The only hit the Dark Knight gave up.
Oh, Matt Harvey.
Yes.
I thought you meant like the ride at Six Flags.
No. He only gave up a hit to an infield single by Alex Rios, which if we had replay back in the day, it would have been challenged, and he would have been out. And Matt Harvey would have thrown a no-hitter versus the White Sox. A walk-off no-hitter at that.
Ron Karkovice wore 53 for a bit. Noberto Martin.
Oh, Paco Martin.
You remember?
Yes.
Yes.
And then he changed his number to 7.
So do it for Paco, all right? Hit that like button. Now we're up to 54, so now do it for Chris Beck, all right?
And now 55 now, too?
Oh, 55.
Dominic Leone.
Oh, okay.
Every day, Dominic Leone.
So let's go to that. Dominic Leone is still on this team. Deivi Garcia is not. Are you fine with the DFAs? They DFA not only
Papa Rodriguez. Oh, you mean this weekend?
Yeah, this weekend. Now I'm blanking on who'd they DFA?
I got to look
They
it up.
DFA'd an outfielder.
Oh, Pilar.
Yeah. But who's the other guy? Pilar, Bailey Horn, and Deivi Garcia.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that have been DFA'd. Are you fine with Deivi Garcia, Bailey Horn, and Kevin Pilar getting the boot?
Not necessarily Deivi Garcia. He's struggled this year at times, but he's also showed you some brilliance. They can get people out at the back end of the bullpen. So, yeah, I'm kind of surprised that he left, but I see them liking Dominic Leone for some reason, that his availability. He can pitch every day. To what degree is different each time he goes out. It's not like Brian Shaw. For the most time last year, when Brian Shaw came in the game, I was like, he's going to give a good effort, and he's probably not going to get teared up. Dominic Leone, I don't know what the numbers are. Every time he comes to the game, I'm like, here we go. I don't know what I'm going to get from him. I'm going to get 3 up, 3 down, or get a couple runners on, and he's going to leave the game and a mess for the next reliever to come in the game. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of Dominic Leone. I know that this is a Brian Bannister move and a Ethan Katz move. They probably both had extensive work with him, but they love that guy. I mean, they even got their best pitcher, Brian Shaw. He got DFA'd, and now is in the Angels minor league system. So, if you got a guy like that, they're going to keep him over everybody else. I think Deivi Garcia has more there than Dominic Leone, but I think they also like his availability of every day being there for Dominic Leone.
Picking between two guys that have ERAs above 6, hey, I don't think there's winners in that group. But I think it's also odd that, 10 days ago, James Fegan posted this article where there's a quote from Brian Bannister. In San Francisco, we talked about him numerous times in trade discussions with the Yankees. Deivi is someone I've always liked. He's unique. He's got that natural dip to his delivery. You see guys do it like a Chris Bassett. There's guys who have that dip, and it allows them for unique approach angles in the zone. I've always believed in his fastball. Obviously, there has been control issues, but again, it's the same thing as Dominic Fletcher and Tommy Pham, maybe even to a worse degree because Tommy Pham has a little bit more skins on the wall. But you're going with a guy that's 30 plus rather than the guy that's 20 plus. And for a team that's 6-22, I'd rather see you go with the guys that are 20 plus. All right. Anything else game-wise that you want to add? I think that was good from Jared bringing up Brad Keller. Maybe we'll see him in the bullpen, but maybe we'll see him on that Friday game against St. Louis. I don't think I have anything else written down, at least game-specific.
Second Sunday in a row, we see the benching of Andrew Vaughn. Can we see some more of this? Because I recall last year, I don't remember him getting benched for many things. I appreciate Pedro seeing what we see, that the player is not there yet. And he can't just hold a position just because he is the incumbent, and he should be better than he is. But right now, he's just bad. And so the White Sox says, yeah, we're in a crunch, and Gavin Sheets is hitting. Your ass is on the bench, Andrew Vaughn, and I like to see this a little bit more. I don't just necessarily want him to be back in the lineup tomorrow just because. If it's conducive for the White Sox to have him on the Gavin Sheets out there at first base going against, I think, a right-handed pitcher. I think they're going against Joe Ryan tomorrow.
Yes. Crochet versus Ryan, Soroka versus Wood Richardson, and then Flexen versus Ober.
Yeah, so I would say maybe get him back in there on Tuesday, but the crunch in outfield is already a problem. You're going to have Eloy as the designated hitter, so you're going to have Gavin Sheets sit down instead of Andrew Vaughn. I would have Gavin Sheets out there and have him playing first instead of having Gavin Sheets play in right field and then Andrew Vaughn at first base. I would rather have the more sure glove in right field and the better bat in the lineup. I 100% want Gavin Sheets in the lineup because he's stinging the ball right now.
Oh, absolutely. There's no lineup that should be created without Sheets unless he truly needs a break. Sheets needs to be in every single White Sox lineup, and that's crazy to say. After 28 games, Gavin's been really consistent. 2 hits the other way today. But, yeah, that's going to be a brutal outfield if they end up going with Benintendi in left, Pham in center, and then Sheets in right field. I get it, but I don't think you're going to see Vaughn go out to the outfield. So it's either he's getting benched or Gavin's playing right, which it seems like. So we'll see. Anyways, let's get to our poll question of the day. We had 12 people vote in the Discord about John Schriffen. So far, 25% of the votes like John Schriffen, 9% of the votes dislike John Schriffen, and then 67% need more time. We also had a poll where we asked our viewers as well on the YouTube feed. I think there was over 89 votes. Do we have the results of that? I thought it popped up somewhere, and now I can't find it. All right, so 82 votes. Do you like John Schriffen? 75% of you said yes. 25% of you said no. And if there was a, need more time, I think it would probably be a little bit more distributed where there's probably less dislike as well. It seems like Schriffen won people over with that walk-off call from Benintendi. Mm-hmm. He got to call Southside stand-up 3 times this weekend, so I bet he's happy.
Twice, because they did Apple TV on Friday.
Oh, right.
But that's why they extra on Saturday.
He had some moments in today's game. Quote, Tommy Pham effect. It's a real thing. They're 3-0, so I guess he's not wrong. And then also the talk of haters when Benintendi rounded third base. For all the haters, John Schriffen said. He also said today, everyone taking shots at the White Sox, posting stats. And then also there was as we came into the 9th inning, they played a montage with the song Haters Will Hate over it. Herb, are you a hater?
Yes. They were 3-22. I'm a card-carrying hater. And if John Schriffen needs that to feel better about himself, so be it. But I get what he's doing. He came in here thinking the shit was sweet. He thought he was going to be well-received, and he should be. But he's the new guy, taking over for a guy that I thought did a great job in Jason Benetti. and then 3-22 hit, and he got a little, he's got weak skin. Like, he needs to toughen it up. People are going to talk about a 3-22 team pessimistically. What optimistic stuff do you want them to say about a 3-22 team? What was the bright spot? Like, I understand he wants his pound of flesh. You could celebrate that victory. If he would have just said, Southside stand up in that same exaggerated fashion that he did last night, I would have been, man, that's awesome. Do your thing. But the haters, it screams of, like, you're mad that people are actually telling you what is going on. Like, posting stats, yes. There's posting stats of the team that has been shut out 8 times in the first 22 games, which is a record. You should have all haters, exclusive haters, and on your fucking thing if you're 3-22 and in 8 of those games you didn't score any runs. So I get what you're saying, John Schriffen, and I get why you did your thing, but back down on the hater stuff. There should be haters on this badass team. And to act as if you're above it all and like you're mad, and I know he blocked you, Sean.
It's fine.
He hasn't blocked me yet, but that'll happen because I don't accept this me against the world type of thing. And Tommy, I appreciate you do it. Like us against everyone doesn't really work when the White Sox are this bad. Exactly. It seems forced. It seems contrived. It seems like it's not authentic, and that's what his whole thing to me has been 28 games into the season. I'm giving him a shot. As a fellow brother, I'm going to give him a shot. But also, I'm going to tell him when he's wrong, when he steps out of line. And to call people haters just because you won a game and that they're posting stats about you and telling you what you said, I think it's a little thin-skinned.
Southside, stand up! I'm going to be saying that like in the shower. I'm going to be saying that to myself in the mirror. I mean, that will be just at the end of the season when that hits for its, 58th time. It's going to hit like an ice-cold liney.
Yeah, what happens when they lose 6 in a row again? Can I post?
No.
For all the haters?
No. And that's the thing, too, is I'm not trying to make this me against John Schriffen. I hope John Schriffen has a lovely, lovely, lovely career. I have nothing against John Schriffen. It's been 28 damn games. I blocked him back so he doesn't have to see me. So if he wants to block me and keep his peace, he could keep his peace. I don't need to see what he tweets. Who cares, right? The thing is, though, it's that he represents one person and one person only. The reason why Jason Benintendi isn't here is not because the Tigers offered him more money and the White Sox didn't match it, because the White Sox didn't want him here. And it's the White Sox replacement of who they want in that booth, someone that's very we-orientated. And it seems like there is a narrative in the White Sox organization that is very much us against them. And it feels like it's bordering on them being the fans.
Yes.
I want the White Sox to win. I want John Schriffen to win. I want Steve Stone to have a great career and ride off in the sunset. This isn't the team in 2024 that I should have been rooting for. This isn't the team that should be out on the field with Robbie Grossman, Lenyn Sosa, Danny Mendick for the second time, right? Tommy Pham, etc. Gavin Sheets shouldn't be our best hitter in the year 2024. And that's the issue. And my issues are with people that are here or were here well before John Schriffen. It's with Chris Getz. It's with Rick Hahn. It's with Kenny Williams. And for sure, it's with Jerry Reinsdorf. So then when you're talking about the haters out there, how do you know who are haters? Like, you've been here for 28 games. You're going out here and you understand the whole complexity of being a White Sox fan. It just also seems like you're being really affected by Cubs fans, which just shows me that, hey, you're not a Chicagoan and don't really get it. Like, yes, people are going to dunk on you when there's 1,000 people there at a doubleheader. People don't show up to doubleheaders regardless. Tune it out, black it out. You saw a great representation of the White Sox fandom on Saturday, right? That's what you should be focusing on. And if you want to say to more people like, hey, show up in White Sox gear and we'll show you on the road. Cool. That's great. If you want to talk about the great, fans that showed up and there's 28,000, and even if it's a little goofy when there's 50 people in the building and you're talking about the White Sox fans out-chaining the Braves fans, sure, go ahead. But don't talk to me about haters. Don't talk to me like you're a White Sox fan. You're using we a lot, John. And I get it. You're a part of the team now. But there's just a little bit of, I don't know, extraness with it. And it's a little bit over the top. And I'm just trying to figure out who the guy from Dartmouth is dealing with haters. I hope him the best. I wish him the best. I'm not rooting against him.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, you can't be new guy calling out people who have been here established, watching this garbage for years, decades, and then saying we're haters. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I've been tweeting a lot about the White Sox being bad because they're being bad at a historical rate, John. So you acting as if you're more White Sox than some White Sox fans, to me, gives me pause. And also gives me like, fuck, I'm going to be here after you, John. I've been here before you. I'm going to be here after you. I've been through this bullshit forever. So, yes, I'll be a hater. And if you want to come on the show, come on through. One of the White Sox people are watching right now. Come on through. We'll have you right here. Sit down. We'll talk to you like grown men. And we won't, a cordial conversation, but don't already get in our bad graces, brother. As White Sox fans, we want to ingratiate you, want to embrace you. Don't just say, hey, haters, this is for y'all. Southside, stand up. I also think that's a little contrived and also forced, so he needs to calm down on that.
I don't know. Yes. It, too, again, like, you're going to be saying that in September when they're winning their 60th game. Like, it's not going to hit the same. I guess that it's early, and I'm fine, too, because that's his first walk-off call. Have fun with it. Be energetic. Be excited. I'm not against that. It just, there's points where it sounds like a college broadcaster in a way. And he's, calling his 28th game of his career in Major League Baseball. I'm not trying to sound too overcritical because he's got a lot of room to grow, and I don't think he's going to be gone in the next 3 years. I'm not saying he should be gone in the next 3 years, but this is a guy that will get his proper runway as the White Sox broadcaster, and we'll see how it plays out. Tommy adding, think about how much shit we've been giving Stone about enjoy the ride. Just because Schriffen is more excitable doesn't mean that he's above the critique and it sounds forced. All that I was trying to do on Twitter was critique him. And I was wrong as well in my critiques. John, when he was like, oh, we're going to wish Willie Castro a happy birthday, and then Willie Castro hit a home run, I was like, oh, well, actually, John, you said it was 3-1 Twins or whatever. I was wrong. I went back and listened. It was a 3-run homer, 4-1 Twins. Like, I was wrong in my tweet. I was inaccurate in my tweet, and that's totally fine. But all that I was trying to be was critical, and not even critical, but just like feedback in a way. Like, hey, I'll give you credit for being like Hawk and being like, no, that's a terrible way to end the game. And like, yeah, be excited. Put your energy into it. But it does feel like, oh, well, now I'm in this booth and now I get to control the narrative. And it feels the same way with Chuck and Ryan McGuffey as well from White Sox Talk that, oh, we're the team's broadcast, so we have to control the narrative. And you, the fan, aren't grateful. You don't get it. That's the thing. We're having fun. We're having a great product that you're just missing out on. I've seen all 28 of your games. I'm not missing out on anything. Like, yeah. I want the White Sox to prove me wrong, and if the White Sox are winning, I do not care. But, like, right now they're 6-22, so we got to talk about it all.
I want John Schriffen, Steve Stone, Chris Getz, Pedro Grifol, all to dunk on me specifically when they become over 500. It's a low bar to clear. They have plenty of games to get to the 500 mark, and just when they get there, oop it to each other. It's like, man, Herb ain't shit. Dunk. Please get there. But in the interim, you guys haven't done a damn thing. 3-game winning streak is awesome, but it's also the first 3-game winning streak of the year after multiple game winning streaks that are longer than 3. So, yes, I just want you guys to be better and finally prove me wrong that you're not a shit organization.
And, two, when I tweeted at Steve Stone to get blocked, it was because I tweeted him a picture of a salad and said, thinking of you at Steve Stone. Right? Like, I was baiting Steve Stone into blocking me. John Schriffen just blocking me because I tweeted out what he said. And I guess, again, to be fair, I tweeted out what he said inaccurately. But
hey, said Bryn, I said it, I'm a number one hater. The hatest, most greatest.
But what am I hating? Like, again, I'm not. I want him to do great. I want him to have a great career in Chicago. I'm just trying to be honest with you. If you don't want me to be fucking honest with you, go listen to White Sox Talk. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Eckerwall23. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show. And hit that thumbs up button as we will be here with you tomorrow for pre- and post-game of the White Sox-Twins game as Garrett Crochet takes on Joe Ryan. We'll see you then. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.